Hope you had a phenomenal weekend because it's getting hot out there. If you, I'm actually not sure if it's everywhere around the globe. I'm assuming so, but it's like hella hot today where I am, and then we saw in some places that it's actually snowing right now, of all things. But we're not here to talk about the weather. We are here to talk about crypto. Welcome to another edition of XFeed. What's up? My name is The Schiller, talking NFTs, Web3, and all that kind of jazz for quite some time, and we just like covering the news because there's always some kind of ridiculous drama-filled something going on. So last week, Bored Ape Yacht Club was a part of a conglomerate of big IPs within Web3 that are getting on the sticker trend. And so if you're somebody that responds to individuals with emotes rather than saying a sentence, well, this is kind of the idea for it, except for these are limited edition. And so, yes, we have speculation around stickers on Telegram, exclusively only on the Telegram platform. So the overarching theme of this is talking about speculation. We're going to go through some traditional means of speculation and talking about the crypto space as all, but these weren't exactly cheap. So apparently it was $250 because you had to purchase some points within the Telegram system. And excuse me, because first of all, I want to preface this by I'm not really a heavy Telegram user, but it sounds like you needed to purchase X amount of like their currency to be able to be allocated for this. And Xer explains the breakdown for how much they potentially earn from this. So if 310,000 people tried buying the Ton Bored Ape stickers and they all needed 5,555 stars to participate, which was the prereq, that equals $100. Assuming half of the 310,000 bought stars just for this, that's 155,000 people. And if that was times by $100 a pop, that's $15.5 million for some sticker that is arguably a part of an IP that is more on the blockchain side of things. Comparatively to like way out there, we're going to get into the Pudgy Penguins, Vanek, NASDAQ event a little bit later, but that's insane. And I feel like we haven't had these big monstrous sales, the speculation as a whole, it's just not been around there. But in theory, Ton made $15.5 million off people buying stars for the BAYC drop. Holy smokes. Holy smokes. That's an insane amount. And so Alo's saying, I see a lot of apes that are not happy with the BAYC sticker drop, presumably because a lot of them didn't actually end up getting it. What most I feel don't understand, it's about expanding into a new ecosystem, exposing new users to the BAYC brand. Telegram has more users than there are ETH wallets, and Ton blockchain has more NFT volume than ETH over the last weeks. Everyone is always talking about how do we onboard new users. Yuga and Ton blockchain made a great job of doing that today. And you know what? I kind of agree. Whenever there's something that you're very, very passionate about, use all the time, there's some sort of collaboration that makes you kind of like open up and actually like learn what exactly it is. You know what? That's not too bad. And then Zero showing as well that you were able to get refunded for it if you didn't buy, so they were able it wasn't like they missed out. There's probably a lot of people that got refunds, but either way, it's almost like a gym membership though, that as long as a couple of the people just kind of leave that tab running all the time, you're good to go. But in this example, obviously it's just, you know, the people that bought stars in the first place. Now, what's sort of weird with this happening is that almost immediately there started being all these reports of compromises, and I was like, what? And I think we saw Cointelegraph, we saw CoinMarketCap, we saw a whole bunch of sites go down, which is, you know, almost a different thing that I'm just remembering off the top of my head. But for this event, almost got drained via malicious link in the BAYC Telegram. It was an ad that led to a fake channel promoting a wallet connection on a phishing site. So I don't know if this was based off of the Ton sticker situation or that was just funky timing that this all kind of happened around the exact same time. I'm not really sure. But to the point that Alo was making a moment ago about people being open and interested in other ecosystems, how many people are now going to be like, you know what? BOIC did stickers there. They, in theory, just got $15.5 million and there's a budding ecosystem that's going over there. Well, holy hell. maybe whatever I'm researching right now, I want to learn something else out. And Depressive Hacks saying, yo, how do we get into Ton? How many people do you know have ever covered Ton while you're being in crypto? So going from Telegram to Reddit here, allegedly, Reddit is in discussions to adopt Sam Altman's iris scanning orb for user authentication. So it's back to the thing that we've been talking about quite frequently about on X. There's just a multitude of bots. Now, I love sales bots, but there is a very, very massive problem right now where there's just infinite amount of spam replies. You'll see an account. It seems like the reply's authentic. You check it out, and their entire reply history is every 60 seconds, it's responding to some person's tweet about a certain topic. And it just feels weird. So does it come to a point where these social sites are wanting to have that human verification? That is the question. So in speculation, it's really only a matter of what people want. So Kyle saying, if I owned a chain of movie theaters like AMC, I'd spend a lot of time trying to figure out how I could do live screenings of NBA and NFL games and episodes of shows like Love Island with happy hour prices and drinks and snacks. So this is actually kind of brilliant to a point because, I mean, when you look out there at the movie space right now, when was the last time you went to the movies? Now, for you specifically, it might have been the other day. Maybe you're somebody that watches that stuff at home. But I think, as we've seen, humans being lonely, wanting to go to these events, with everything being a niche, like using myself, hello, I am like a huge League of Legends fans. And for example, they actually have the mid-season invitational in Canada. It's in Vancouver, and ignoring the fact that it's in Canada, imagine if there were theaters that opened up and said, hey, you know, in some of these major cities, we're going to host some of these events. I don't really go to events that often, but for that, if I go with some friends, I'd probably be like, hell yeah, let's get together, make a trip of it, and try to hang out with some of the people that are somewhat in the area to me to play. And yo, Corwin coming through for 18 totals on a 5-month streak. Holy friggin' halibut, how are we doing? Hope you are fantastic. So this goes about changing with the times where people like the live events. Maybe they just don't like the exact product being produced, and I like the concept overall. I know that's not Web3 related, but let's continue. Okay. So this is Labubu. I don't really understand. Basically, these are a bunch of people screaming at the top of their lungs. I'm not going to like open the audio because I don't want you to like die or anything. But these people are freaking out. The speculation, getting the rare ones within this. People absolutely love it. But we don't have that anymore in Web3. And is it because brands that are notable within the space are wanting to only do something that's of quality, of something they know that's going to be added more so? What can we change? What can we add to blockchain rails to bring this back? Because the speculation is El Deadzo. True, true, true. However, it's not dead in Pokemon. Moon's saying this is the average Pokemon card right now, 2 to 5 to 10x in a year, depending on what it is. We've seen the people fighting in Costco. We've seen the outrageous sales all the time. People trying to get the best buck bid. Insanity. Absolute insanity. So let's go over from Pokemon to Magic the Gathering. Crypto's down. Meanwhile, the Final Fantasy Magic the Gathering collector box hit $1,200 in only 9 days after the official release. So this is a collaboration of brands. Final Fantasy and Magic the Gathering. Now, have other collabs gotten similar interest? I don't know if it's been this extreme, but why? There are 77 serialized chocobos, whatever that card is, like Charizard's, in the collector packs. Only 22 found so far. The last one sold for $40,000. When there's speculation that you're going to make money, people go crazy. And we just don't have it the same way as we used to. And these are kind of what like those chocobos look like, just as like an example for anybody that's like kind of interesting. With the Iran retaliating against the U.S. 30 minutes ago, or we cooked. I've seen like a lot of reports. I'm not educated on that, and I'm making a complete guess. But there's a lot of people that think that this is probably going to blow over. A lot of individuals are saying this isn't necessarily we're at war. It's a strategic thing. We're having like a mixed match in everything, but also I feel like a lot of people are like somewhat desensitized things because almost every single week, almost every single month, there's something major that happens across the world. And so we'll see. I mean, there's a chance. I mean, we saw this morning, I was kind of expecting like the market to like level out a little bit, but then obviously the retaliation happened. But I mean, on the hour chart here, we're looking green on a lot of different things. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't, I don't know what else to add there, Corbin. If you got any extra thoughts, feel free to share them though. And then, so on the speculation side of things, I don't even know if this is speculation. I don't even understand how the hell this works. But Wrecked, the Wreck guys, if you're familiar with that NFT collection, they've gone out, they've done drinks, they're doing a token, and they went on this like major blitz for 7-Eleven shops and advertising. Spend $10, get 100. So is this them giving out crypto? Is this them just kind of playing a psychological game? I don't understand what the heck this is. Somebody says, how the heck does this offer work? Buy 4 cans to get a free... Oh, sorry. Here we go. Buy 4 cans and you get a redeemable code for tokens. So there we go. Add a little bit of speculation into things and absolutely print. It's fun, eh? Giving a little bit of a story for everything. So went on. There's a good possibility Fortnite is the next big catalyst for NFTs. I see several projects spreading a rumor mill that they secured a Fortnite partnership or licensing deal. Nakamigos also promised Fortnite. What if Fortnite hard pivots into NFTs with multiple projects featured? So the last part there is super interesting because does Fortnite want to have access to this crowd? For Ton blockchain, I would love to know the stats of like who came from where, and I don't know if there's a way to like check that data point, but I mean, Ton theoretically got $15 million from bringing a Web3 brand of people that arguably have spare capital, all of them willing to spend, a couple $100s to get this exclusive item on their platform. How many other people are going to be like, money, 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 right? That's the thing. Everybody's looking for a way to cash in. So thankfully, we have a little bit of insight for this, maybe in a different way than you would expect. So, to recap history for a moment, there was a moment in time similar to when an NFT era in time, it was really the hot thing to have some sort of DAO associated with it, of having funds in something, the holders get a vote on, you create a treasury of tokens, NFTs, whatever it is. It was another time where if you had a token associated with an NFT of a drop, of a drip, doesn't matter, speculation went crazy. Another time, if there was companion collections of sorts where you were going to get a free NFT, boom, people were all over that. And there was a time when collections started talking about how they were doing stuff in Roblox and Fortnite. OK Bears over on Solana was one of them. The Grapes on ETH that was backed by Animoca brands, and I really paid attention to what was going on with the Grapes. So this is back 2 years ago. And in the comments of this, it's hilarious because some guy's like, oh, you sound like a hater. And I'm like, I ended up being completely freaking right on this. But anyway, so June 15th of 2023, these guys were doing a Discord call. And this is the Grapes collection. It was Grape NFTs. They were done by Viker Games, which had several very successful games that existed. And people thought, okay, these guys are the real deal. So this is a clip of them talking about the Fortnite and Roblox builds, right? So I might not play the whole thing, but here's an example.
Lots of different meetings. Right now, we're in intense talks. Exact details are going to be revealed over the coming weeks. But I think the interesting thing about Fortnite and Roblox, about how they both came around, is from investors who have invested in Viker over the last couple of years. Chris is a major investor in Web 2 and Web 3. He's built his own studios and sold them to the likes of PlayStation, Tencent, MTG, Voodoo. And Steve, our finance controller, up until mid last year, was actually the director of M&A at Epic. So we, the opportunity came to us through those. Yep. Through those avenues.
Okay, so if you listen to that without knowing any other details of what I've explained, would you say, you know what, damn, they've sold games to these people, they've been a part of this, this sounds like a totally legit thing, and we should speculate on it. And that's exactly what happened. People speculated, they went crazy, collection completely rugged, they did like the TGE, whatever else, that's rugged, the whole thing is just dead. Backed by all these major names, had all these major partnerships, and I mean, Animoca, right? Supposedly the biggest thing in the entire space. This was one of the most successful projects at a point. and just poof. So this is where we run into the problem of what exactly do you trust here in the space, right? And so I want to listen. I'm sitting here like, oh baby, I'm down. If we have a major partnership with this, but we have the problem of previous players in the space using that to try to gain leverage, and then absolutely not a single damn thing came from it, which is kind of tough. And then as well, if you want to go look up that video of itself, the grapes exposed, I wasn't like intending on like exposing them at the time. Well, I just wanted to create a clickbait headline, and it sort of worked, but then it actually came into reality. So that's that. I guess it is what it is. Robo Taxi. These are apparently out in Texas right now. $4.20. Uber and Lyft and Waymo, 25 to 40. Today is the beginning of the end of Uber and Lyft. It's the age of Robo Taxi now. Now, whether you believe that or not, I think we're heading into a very interesting time of how much does automation take over for everything. So another just absolutely dreadful news of the day. The Chainsaw NFT deployer wallet is still being exploited. So Zog's NFT. This is something by Matt Fury. If you've ever seen Pepe the Frog, Matt Fury is the artist from it. Then multiple NFT collections wasn't associated with the token. I think that whoever created the Pepe token like gave him a bunch, but has been very, very active in the space. And so there was an exploit, and I guess the collections are just getting minted in mass proportion and getting dumped. Furthermore, even the Matt Fury Heads collection has been compromised and ownership of the contract has been transferred. With the 1+ ETH floor, it's lucky that the supply there is immutable. The exploiter tried and failed to mint more supply to dump into bid. So we have this argument of, woo, this is great. Web3, we have the security of there's not going to be more that's printed over these things. Right. A little bit more verifiability where, for example, those Chocobo cards or whatever, 5 years down the line, what if Magic the Gathering and Final Fantasy decide we're going to print more of those? Then you're kind of just out of luck for that. Can't happen with NFTs. Well, depends on how things are set up. Full sweep of Korean Matt Fury Pepe editions also currently being batch minted and weaved. Max Payne. Peplicator probably up next. Chainsaw, you've got terrible security practices. So that's, yeah, I don't know. Peplicator suffering from the same exploit. Exploiter still batch minting in the hundreds and selling into offers on both Blur and OpenSea. Floor down 64%. Thousands of NFTs dumped into bids at 0.01. Exploit total nearing a $300,000. Holy suffering succotash. Unbelievable. And then earlier today, this morning, they had Pudgy Penguins, they had Van Eck, they had absolutely everybody out there. I saw Travis John, who was on the podcast recently for the RWA Segments podcast. We've had Spencer on right here, who's the Vibes TCG CEO. If you can see him in the hat over there, we got Luca Netz in there behind Matt Bartlett. And this week's episode is with Matt Bartlett for the RWA Segments podcast. So if you want to check down the link below, if you're on YouTube, or if you check it out on my X profile. But here's what Matt had to say for the NASDAQ opening bell this morning.
Good morning and welcome. First and foremost, thank you to our friends and partners at NASDAQ for allowing us to have our Web3 takeover event here, celebrating the DApp ETF. It doesn't just make it special, it makes it unforgettable. At VanEck since 1955, we've been providing investors with access to forward-thinking and intelligently designed investments and opportunities. And we believe there's an opportunity now to build a bridge between two powerful forces, two rapidly evolving worlds, those being traditional finance and digital assets in Web3. In fact, right now, there are institutions of all sizes that are tokenizing all sorts of different RWAs or real-world assets, while at the same time, digital collectibles are turning culture into tangible brand value, and it's happening faster than any of us ever imagined. And so that's what this moment's about. It's not just a takeover, but a crossover. And so even beyond this historic setting and moment, our group will hear some powerful dialogue from both the head of digital assets research at VanEck, as well as from the CEO of Pudgy Penguins, where together we'll explore the broad spectrum of digital ownership and RWA. So on behalf of VanEck, thank you so much for the opportunity. Thank you for being here. Let's have a great morning.
Very nice, very nice, very nice. So, I mean, that's an example of what was going on. And to his point right away about how digital assets are creating tangible value for brands, a Telegram sticker thing. We saw Cleanosaurs. We're seeing Doodles. We're seeing BAYC doing. We're seeing everybody getting on the train of doing something. And Psych Eye also showing that they were giving out bags there. So absolutely love that. But that's going to be it for this edition of XFeed. Thank you guys so much for tuning on in. Hope you got some kind of perspective and basically walking away saying, bring back speculation in Web3 and not having these contract exploits where everything goes absolutely to zero. Corwin, thank you so much for the subscription. And for everybody else that's tuning in after the fact, enjoy this nice, hot, humid day. Catch you tomorrow. Peace.